Joining me live now is Matti Clements from the Australian Institute of Sport to preview what we hope are big games for Australia. Thanks very much for your time. The preparation's been a bit different, I guess. We had the Olympics usually 2 years ago, only a year ago. The World Championship Athletics has just happened, which is odd timing as well. Has it meant some very different preparations?
Look, it's all happened in a very short period of time. Absolutely some very different preparations, but I think you saw on that footage a moment ago how excited our Australian athletes are to be in Birmingham and be competing on a world stage. Super excited.
I did catch a little bit of Liesl Jones last night, and she was saying the Commonwealth Games are the fun games. I guess the pressure cooker in the Olympics, nothing is bigger than that. And whilst you're still desperate to win Commonwealth Games, gold, silver, bronze, or perform well, is it just a little bit less of a pressurised atmosphere for athletes over there?
I think you're right. I think Liesl's right. Commonwealth Games athletes, they really enjoy it. They enjoy the experience. And it's a little bit more than just the success of the medals and standing on the podium. You can see them, they're all there to enjoy themselves. And what we actually find with the Commonwealth Games is that it is a real platform for our future champions. And Kieran Perkins, our own Kieran Perkins, is a great example of it. It was the first big benchmark event for him to compete on a world stage, and look at the career that comes from it.
Yeah, I think Kathy Freeman as well. So when we're looking at these games, you mentioned not all about the medals, but we love a bit of a gold rush. Prince Charles says that the other athletes are terrified of Australia. How successful will we be? Because it's worth noting the British have just been so much better since they rejigged their funding for their Olympic but also Com Games teams. So what sort of expectations do we have heading in?
Look, I think the Australian public can look forward with huge excitement and anticipation for what will be a very, very successful Games for Australia. We've got the Diamonds coming up very shortly. I cannot wait to see them on the court. I think big expectations, and I think they deserve those big expectations. I spoke to Stacey West this morning, the high performance director of Netball Australia, and she says the team's raring to go. They're just one example of what we could see over the upcoming weeks.
We all know the obvious sports to watch. Anytime there's a pool involved, we're usually a pretty good chance. We've got now someone with a bit of a shot in the men's 100 metres. But what are some of maybe the off-Broadway events people should tune into during the Commonwealth Games that previously maybe they've never seen the sport before or never seen an Aussie, a new Aussie star in? What should they be looking out for there?
There's a couple of big call-outs. It's important to note that we have 10 First Nations team members at this Games, and that is the largest number we've had at a Commonwealth Games. And some of those individuals, Alex Winwood for boxing, really, really important up-and-comer, worth watching. And also our oldest team member, lawn bowls, 63 years old, Cheryl Lindfield, worth watching.
How about that? I mean, that's a sport. I have had a roll before. My old man started to enjoy it when he couldn't be bothered walking around a golf course anymore. But it's a fascinating one because you say to yourself, oh, this isn't too hard. But the experience in that, just to get bowl after bowl up there, right on shot. Is that rare, those 63? I mean, is that pretty standard? Is it the older the better?
Isn't it? 63 is a good innings. And that's one of the wonderful things about the Commonwealth Games. We've got one of the youngest team members diving, I think it's 14 years old, and then 63-year-old team member there standing side by side. How cool.
Yeah, and passing on their wisdom at the village, I'm sure, a few of the things you do and you don't do.